Dan, it should be working on it. Okay, great. We are posted. Thanks, Brian.
Good evening, everyone. Shana Tova Umituka, a good and sweet year to all of you. This, of course, is not how all of us imagined this Rosh Hashanah would be. We did not think we would be here in the world of the internet. And for those of you joining us on YouTube, for those of you joining us on Facebook Live, welcome and thank you for being with us in this virtual tent, in this virtual place where we gather together as we welcome in the year 5781. Again, we'll talk more through our service about the strangeness of this year, but as we gather together in community with the work that so many have done behind the scenes, and we thank them and we'll thank them by name a little later in our service, the work that has been done to gather all of us here together. We enter into a new year. May it be a year of health. May it be a year of happiness. May it be a year of sweetness for all of us. Shana Tova Umituka. as we welcome in this new year, we also welcome in Shabbat. And so through the magic of the internet, I'd like to invite last year's board of directors of Temple Shalom to light our Shabbat candles and our holiday Yom Tov candles for all of us.
Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher zichanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, v'hadlik ner shel Yom Tov. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, She'ehyanu, v'kimanu, v'hivyanu, la'azman hazeh. Amen.
We thank all of our board members, those of the past year who just blessed our candles for us, and our new board members as well, for leading our congregation in this very, very difficult year. We bring up onto our screen as we welcome in Shabbat our Machzor. For those of you who have your Machzor at home, we are on page number 7 as we greet Shabbat with Psalm 92, the Psalm of Shabbat. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon. Lahagid baboker chastecha, ve'emunatecha ba'alelot, alei asor ve'alei navel, alei higayon ve'chinor. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon. Ki simachtani Adonai b'fo'olecha, b'maaseh yadecha aranein. Ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai, me'od amku machshvotecha. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon. We continue silently through the bottom of the page and onto the top of the next page. Sadikatamar Yifrach Ke'erez Bavanon Yiskei Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvu B'Seva B'Shenim V'Rananim Yehiyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlatabo. And as we've welcomed in Shabbat, we also call ourselves to prayer. And as we're making our way through our Machzor, again, to remind you, for those of you who are at home, I'll be saying the page numbers that we're on. If you have your Machzor at home, if you don't, the pages that we'll be reading together will appear on our screen as we're scrolling through on the screen, and we hope that they are big enough for all of you to see. You will not see the translations and the commentaries on the screen that are in our Machzor. If you'd like to read those, you can read those at home. And I do want to mention, for those of you that do not have a Machzor at home for Rosh Hashanah, but you would like to have one for Yom Kippur in between the holidays, you can call the office and we'll make sure that you get a copy of those. It is with great joy and great happiness that I welcome back to us for another year. Through the magic of the internet, he is standing in the middle of our sanctuary, but in reality, he's in Los Angeles, but we won't tell anybody. It'll just be our secret. But I'm thrilled to welcome back Chazan Alexander Berkovich back to us for one more year to bring the beauty of his voice and the beauty of his neshama, of his soul, to lead us in our prayers throughout these high holidays. We all turn to page number 9 in our Machzor as we rise for the words of Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Now, if you weren't in the mood for the high holy days before that, I know you are now, because to me, that the beauty of Chazan Berkovich's voice has now welcomed in this Rosh Hashanah for all of us. We turn now at the bottom of page number 9 as we sing the words of Ma'ariv Aravim, giving thanks to God for creation. This prayer is, of course, very appropriate on this particular holiday, as this holiday is the birthday of the world. 5,781 years ago, according to tradition, or as I like to say it, godly periods of time, as we make our way in giving thanks for creation. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. B'chokhma poteach sha'arim, u'b'tvuna mishane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim. B'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Borei yom ve'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla u'mavdil ben yom u'ven layla Adonai tziva'ot shemo. Lai 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 Lai, 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 אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 Lai, 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 lai. As we turn in our Machzor to page number 10, we give thanks for the gift of Torah. We say, Ahavat Olam, with a great love of Beit Yisrael Amcha, with your people Israel, you have loved us, giving us your Torah u'mitzvot, the Torah and its commandments, Chukim u'mishpatim, its laws and its statutes, to guide us each and every day of our lives. We listen to the words with our cantor of Ahavat Olam.
Al Ken Adonai Elokeinu B'shokveinu U'ekomeinu Nasiach בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי כן חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם בלילה ומאיר יום ולילה ומבדיל בין יום ולילה אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך שמו
אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. We invite Brian and Michelle Folks to lead us in a kavanah, to lead us in a reading of inward spiritual looking.
Praised are you, our God, who arranges the seasons and the stars, who restores day and night, and who has brought on the evening twilight. When we meditate on this universe, which you create anew day after day, we are filled with wonder and awe. We see ourselves as that specks in a vast universe, and we are filled with fear. You seem too busy to be concerned with our lives, and we feel alone. We see the difference between ourselves as we are, and between ourselves as we are, and as we would like to be, and we feel inadequate and powerless. But you, God, you understand what we feel. You know how our souls can be released from their bonds, and so, through your great love, your people, you have given us the precious gift, the Torah. When we study your Torah and observe the commandments, we find that small though we are more important in your plan than the mightiest star. And we find that far away through you seen, in reality you are no farther away than our own hearts. And we find that powerless though we feel, with you we gain strength. We are therefore study your Torah and grasp the way of life that is ours. At every possible opportunity, we will always rejoice over the words of your Torah and the fulfillment of your commandments. for they are our very lives, and they add a new dimension to our days. So we will tirelessly try to understand and live by them. Through them, we always have access to your love. Blessed are you, Adonai, loving your people Israel.
We thank you, Michelle and Brian. As we turn in our Machzor to page number 11, we declare the oneness of God with the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elokeinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו כדברים כאלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ולקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue silently on page 12, and we'll join back together on page 13. We continue together on page 13.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליכם, ועשו לכם ציצית על כנפי בגדיכם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית ככנף פתיל תכלת, וחיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריכם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, לחיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן.
We continue as we turn to page 14, as we come to the Geulah, our prayer of redemption. We speak of redemption from ancient Israel, or from ancient Egypt, on our way to Israel, as God redeemed us from Mitzrayim, those narrow places, just as we enter into these Yamim Noraim, these days of awe. We ask God to deliver us from our own personal Mitzrayim with emunah and emet, emet of truth, emunah of faithfulness, of all this that you have for us, God, emet ve'emunah.
אמת ואמונה, אמת ואמונה, אמת ואמונה, כל זאת, וקיים עלינו, אמת ואמונה. זאת. כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל, ישראל עמו, אמת ואמונה, אמת ואמונה, אמת ואמונה, כל זאת וקיים עלינו, אמת ואמונה, כל זאת.
Emet ve'emunah, with truth and with faithfulness, you have delivered us from the hands of oppressors and out of the dark places and the narrow places. And we praise you as our ancient ancestors did with the words, who is like you, O God, among those deities that are worshipped in the world? Who is like you in awesomeness and splendor? We join together with Chazan Berkovich in the words of Michamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך רלבנך בוקיים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, תפדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך שמו.
על ישראל.
Amen. We ask God each night to lie us down in peace and cause us to rise again tomorrow to life, to protect us from all those things that may come after our souls in the evening, that may come after our souls during our lifetime. We say, oh God, please protect us from evil, from wrongdoing, from all those things that may go wrong in our world. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Lie us down, O God, in peace. Ufros Aleinu sukat shlomecha. And spread over us a shelter of peace, over us, over Jerusalem, over all of the world.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, וחושיינו למען שמך. וחפן בעדנו, וחסר מעלינו, אויב דבר וחרב ורב ויגון, וחסר שטן מלפנינו, מלפנינו מחרינו. ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו מצילנו אתה, כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה. ושמור צאתנו אוהנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך וברוך שמו.
בורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Amen. We are doubly blessed this evening as it is both Rosh Hashanah and Shabbat. And so on this Rosh Hashanah and Shabbat, we announce both of these days. First, we announce the Shabbat with the words of the Shamru, and then we announce this new year with the words of Tikuv HaChodesh Shofar.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. וביום השביעי ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. תיקוב החודש שופר בכסף ליום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוקי יעקב.
Sound the shofar at the new moon. Proclaim the festival when the moon is concealed. For this is a law for Israel, a statute for the God of Jacob. We continue as we make our way, as we turn to page number 18, as we make our way to our Amidah, we continue with the words of the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי כהן וביומי כהן ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יחי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו בלילה לילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ואמרו amen.
Amen. We rise as we make our way to the Amidah. As the commentary in our Machzor says, the Amidah is structured and choreographed as an audience, so to speak, with God. The kind of audience that you have with a king or queen, where we stand face to face with God and have our conversation. Standing with our feet together, we take 3 steps backward and 3 steps forward, as if we are stepping out of our world and stepping into God's presence. And so we join together with Chazan Berkovich as we chant the words of the Amidah.
Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yadi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elokei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel, Elokei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, העליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גואל לבני בניכם, למען שמו באחווה. זכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכתבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוקים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומפקד, ברוך אתה אדוני. מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
Amen.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי כל חייתה רב להושיע, מוריד חטא, מקלקל חיים בחסד, מקיים כל חי ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא קולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך מי מתומכיה ומצמיח ישועה מי כמוך אף רחמים זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים ונאמן אתה להיות כל חי ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך שמו
וחיי כל חי
Amen. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. We continue silently in our Amidah as we make our way from page 21 to 29, praying the words that you find in the Hebrew or the English on these pages, or the words that you find in your own hearts and your own souls. When you've finished your silent Amidah, I will scroll slowly on the screen here. Please be seated.
ותיתן לנו אלוהים בכל יום השבת הזה, יום הזיכרון הזה, יום זיכרון תרועה. אלוהים אלוהי אבותינו, אמותינו, אלוהי אלוהי, אלוהי ורצה ושמור. ביום הזיכרון הזה, תכרינו בני אלוהים.
We give thanks to you, Adonai, our God, that you are our God, the God of our ancestors, for now and to forever. You are the rock of our lives. You are the shield of our salvation. You are in every generation. Modim anachnu lach she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu le'olam va'ed. Tzur chayenu Magin yisheinu Atahu Lidor Vador, Atahu Lidor Vador. Modim Anachnu Lach She'atahu Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avoteinu V'imotenu Le'olam Va'ed. Tzur Chayenu Magin Yishenu Atahu Lidor Vador, Atahu Lidor Vador. V'al kulam yitbarach v'yitromam shimcha malkinu tamid le'olam va'ed. V'chol ha'chayim yiducha sela v'yalelu et shemecha be'emet. Hayel Yishuateinu v'ezratenu sela. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. We turn to page 28 in our Machzor as we join together with Chazan Berkovich in the words of prayer for peace, the words of Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Asim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Asim Leolam. Yatahu melech adon lekol hashalom v'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et ubechol shah bishlomecha. Besefer Chaim bracha v'shalom, bracha v'shalom ufarnasa tova, bracha v'shalom nizacher v'nikatev lefanecha. אנחנו בכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
So we say in this new year, 5781, praised are you, O God, the one who makes peace. We close our prayer with two beautiful phrases. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace for us, for all of Israel, and for all the world. And let us say, Amen.
והגיון לבי לפניך, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, וגואלי. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו amen.
We bring our Amidah to a close as we invite Judy and Craig Karnick to lead us in a meditation of God's presence.
Elohai, my God, as I leave your presence, I remind myself that it is I, not you, who is leaving, for you are always present in my life. When I take a deep breath, I can find you again, for you are only a breath away. When I picture your light and turn toward it, my darkness is dispelled, for in your light, I see light. When my soul utters a prayer, I know that you are near me, for you are always receptive to prayer.
Elohai, my God, help me recognize and acknowledge all the blessings that you provide. For when I express my gratitude, I am reminded of your presence. Help me remember that you created everything, that the world does not revolve around me. For when I express my humility, I am reminded of your presence. Help me ask you for guidance and assistance and affirm that you make the difference in my life. For when I express my dependence, I am reminded of your presence.
Help me keep your presence directly in my field of vision at each and every moment. Help me choose each day to live in your house, to feel your presence all the days of my life. You are my rock, source of my strength. You are my redeemer, source of my hope. And you accept with love and joy the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart. And that is so. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Indeed, may we, as we enter into this new year, feel God's presence, both at those times where it's clear to us and at those times where it may not be so clear. We bring our Amidah to a close as we turn in our Machzor to page number 75, as we join and listen to Chazan Berkovich in Kaddish Shalom.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה
Amen.
לעלמד ימרחנותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכונו וימליכונו וחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתחלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעולמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צודון ודכון דכל בית ישראל קדמון דבישמיא ואמרו אמן. יחי שלום רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו Amen.
Amen. We can all be seated if you're not seated. Well, my friends, as we said at the start of our service tonight, this is not a normal Rosh Hashanah. This is indeed not a normal year. On this Rosh Hashanah, we are in a strange time. We've not seen each other in person, for many of us, in many, many months, and we don't know how many more months it will be until we gather together again. But I want to look at this new year by beginning with a story. It's an autobiographical story. It was about, it was exactly 32 years ago, as a matter of fact. I was on a kibbutz in Israel. And I was there for a year doing some volunteer work on a program called Project Otzma, a program of blessed memory. 65 Americans and Canadians between the ages of 18 and 26, spending a year doing community service in Israel. And there was a night, it was in September 1988. And I was doing one of my jobs. You see, we spent half the day learning Hebrew and half the day working on the kibbutz. And I was doing my job that September, a very important job on the kibbutz. That's right. I was in charge of making sure that the dishwasher worked, washing the dishes for all 800 people who ate dinner that night in the kibbutz dining room, and washing the pots in the sink and putting all the plates and cups and bowls and all the silverware through the giant dishwashing machine. And we'd been in Israel, our group, for, well, it was close to 2 months now, and some of us were feeling a little homesick. Some of us were getting on the nerves of other of us because we'd been in close quarters. I know that none of you have those feelings right now of being in close quarters in your own homes. But we were feeling a little out of things, and we were worrying, and we were sad. But we had the radio blaring in the kitchen as we were doing the dishes, and well, this song came on. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. 'Cause when you worry in your life there's trouble. But when you worry you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy. Ooh, 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 ooh. Don't worry, be happy. And then he said, you know, in the song, he says, if you're worrying, just send me your phone number and I'll call you and I'll make you happy. Don't worry, be happy. 'Cause when you worry, your face will frown and that will bring everybody down. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Ooh, 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 do 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 do. Don't worry, be happy. And the song stuck in my head. And whenever during that year that things would seem a little down and I was worrying a little bit, that song kept playing in my head. Don't worry, be happy. And you know, while Bobby McFerrin put the song out in the summer of 1988, it wasn't a new idea then. It was certainly a very Jewish idea, I know that. Because Rebbe Nachman of Bratslav said when he lived in the very late 1700s, early 1800s, the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, the grandson of the creator of the Hasidic movement, he said, Mitzvah gedola liot b'simcha tamid. It means it's a great mitzvah to be happy always. You know, in these times, it's very difficult to be happy always. Here we are in the midst of a pandemic. It's killed 200,000 Americans. It's killed nearly 1 million people worldwide. There are 6.5 million Americans who have been affected by the COVID-19 virus and over 30 million worldwide. Those numbers continue to increase greatly each and every day. There is strife in our streets as there are those who protest for long overdue social justice. And there are those on the extreme right and those on the extreme left who are hijacking the legitimate protests to bring unwanted violence and illegitimate violence to our streets. Our country politically is as divided as, well, I think it's the most divided it's ever been, and certainly in my lifetime and maybe in yours. In our own personal lives, there's strife. Many in our congregation have suffered illness. We've had recent deaths in many families in our congregation. There is certainly much about which to worry. There are those who have lost jobs. There are those whose loved ones have died. There are those who are struggling to make ends meet. There are those who are wondering what comes next. There is certainly much about which to worry. But we must remember the words of Bobby McFerrin and Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. Don't worry, be happy. Mitzvah gedola lihyot b'simcha tamid. It is a great mitzvah to be surrounded by happiness always. But how with great strife in our world, and if we have great strife in our personal world, how do we find that happiness? There are those who say that we'll be happy again when we can all join together and be in this building that you all might think I'm in right now. And if you do, go ahead, keep believing I'm there. But when we can gather together here at Temple Shalom in person, maybe that will bring us happiness. When we can see those family members from whom we've been separated for some time, that might bring us happiness. When there's a vaccine or a treatment for COVID-19, when we find the social justice that we seek, when a country that seems so divided comes back together, when illness goes away, when we remember a loved one with a laugh and a smile. Yes, these are all ways that we can find happiness. But we must seek out that happiness. Indeed, there was a study done in recent years at the University of California, Riverside. And the researchers, both medical doctors and psychologists, found that when we look at attaining happiness, they said this: 50% of our happiness can be attributed to our genes. 40%, well, I'll come to that 40% in a minute. Because 10% of our happiness is associated with our circumstances: money, health, marriage, appearance, friends, sickness, etc., etc. So 50% is in our genes, 10% attributed to our circumstances. That leaves 40%. And the researchers at University of California, Riverside found that 40% of our happiness, we have the power to change through our actions and our thoughts. And so even in times of great strife, we can try to live these words of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. Mitzvah gedola lehiot b'simcha tamid. It is a great mitzvah to be happy all the time. And how do we do that even in times of strife? Well, the first thing we can do, there are many things, but I'll just share a few with you. One in Hebrew we call hakarat hatov. It literally means to recognize the good. If we can recognize the good in the world, this helps us bring happiness to our lives. Even when we're surrounded by bad, if we can find that little nugget, that little essence of good, hakarat hatov, to recognize the good. You know, there's that moment, if we do it on a not so deep level, there's that moment that you get upset when you can't find your car keys. But recognizing the good is knowing that you have a car. There's that moment where our children make us absolutely enraged. But there's good in knowing that we have wonderful children that we've brought into this world. There's those instances where we see disease and protest and etc., etc. But the good we know is that people are working, maybe us as well, to find the good and solve the problem. We can also engage in gimilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness. When we bring kindness to others, it reflects upon us and it brings kindness back to us. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah, avira goreret avira, we're told. In Pirkei Avot, it says, one mitzvah brings around another one, and a sin brings around another one. When we bring good into the world, it brings more good. And of course, in this season, these yamim noraim, these days of awe, we can work on forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. If we can take these days of awe, these days where we look inside our souls and engage in the process of pikuach nefesh, an accounting of our souls, cheshbon hanefesh, right? Pikuach nefesh, saving a life. Cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of our souls. If we account our souls, we help to save lives. Because when we look inside ourselves and see the goodness that we can bring into the world through cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of the soul, we can engage in pikuach nefesh, acts that save a life. And the Talmud says not in one place, but in two different places. If we save one life, it's as if we've saved the entire world. And what greater way to bring happiness to ourselves than to save the life of someone else? Whether it may be physically saving them, emotionally saving them, spiritually saving them. And so, when we say don't worry, be happy, okay, worry a little bit, but then take that frown and turn it upside down and bring some happiness from a memory, from an action. And act upon those words of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, who said 200 years ago or so, mitzvah gedola lihiot b'simcha tamid. It's a great mitzvah to surround ourselves with happiness always. Because when we bring happiness into the world, that happiness reflects back on us. And if each of us brings just one measure of happiness into the world, when we add all those measures together, how much more of a beautiful world will it be in which we have the chance to live together? And so we act. In terms of the pandemic, we wear a mask. We social distance. We wash our hands. We say a prayer that soon there will be treatments and vaccines. With social justice, we vote to make change. We vote for those that each of us individually feels will help to bring the change that we'd like to see. This is what we do. We act with loving kindness. We vote with loving kindness. We pray with loving kindness. And when we bring that loving kindness into the world, we, in reflection, become a little bit happier. Mitzvah gedola, lihiot b'simcha tamid, is a mitzvah to always surround ourselves with happiness. My prayer for each of you in this year to come is that you may find yourself surrounded in that happiness. May it be for each of us a Shana Tova, a good year, a Shana Mituka, a sweet year, a Shana Bria, a healthy year. And for each of us, may it be a Shana filled with Simcha, a year filled with happiness Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. Shana Tova u'Mituka to all of you. A good and sweet new year. As we return to our Machzor, we bring ourselves to Aleinu as we open up our ark doors. And let me just remove our Siddur for just a moment, because through the magic of the internet, we call Peter and Pamela Gerfine and Craig and Judy Karnick to open our ark doors. And as we see each of them, we are opening our ark doors in their honor. And as we do, magically, as they rise to open our ark doors open for Aleinu. And there they are. Our ark doors open here in our sanctuary. And we thank Pam and Peter and Judy and Craig for their contributions to the congregation, as we thank all those who are participating in our service tonight. And as we bring our Machzor back up onto our screen, we join together with Chazan Berkovich in the words of Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כבני ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל כמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ויוסת ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים. ואלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפזו אותו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותי אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד. על כן נקבל לך אדוני אלוהינו. כי המלכות שלך היא עולמי עצמלו בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר וקיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום כך הוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
And as we do through the magic of the internet, our ark doors that are now open will now be closed as we're all seated. We want to take a moment to think of those who are in need of healing. We have many in our congregation who are ailing, and so we take a brief moment, even though the words are not in your machzor, to say a Misha Berach for each of them. We ask for God to bring Refuah Shlema, complete healing for Alan Ozier, Barbara Eisen, Jack Dashosh, Yishav Zaza, Carrie Schillinger, Nick Truckman, Marcy Morrison, Joy Mitchell, Louis Ispitz, Reuven Ben Sipora, Nee Howard, Mike Sidman, Donnie and Dusty Berman, Frank Gillingham, Julio Juarez, Norman Winger, Burton Paul, Andrew Haslam, John Haslam Jr., Jim Brandenberger, Donna Simone, Robin Burnham, Betsy Appel, Sarah Ann Dakey, John Brock, Matt Roberts, Mike Ansfield, Clayton Ishbitz, Judy Bauman, Shai Mendel, Monroe and Dindy Levine, Alan and Marcia Weiss, Jeremiah Valasquez, and Yamna Maxwell. If you have names that you're thinking of, I hope that you'll say them out loud now in your own space as we say these words of healing. Misheberach Avoteinu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We turn in our Machzor to page 80, but before we rise for Kaddish Tom, I'm going to read the list, since it is Shabbat, the list of our yard sites this week, and then a comment on one particular death in our community. This week we remember in our yard sites Abraham Friedman, Arnold Benton, Baruch Bram, Baruch Friedman, Betty Chernow, Faja Bram, Haskell Friedman, Hirsch Shukier, Jacob Berland, Laja Bram, Leah Bram and Lemel Benes, Lipka Benes, Mendel Bram, Meir Feinberg, Mordechai Bram, Morris Kutinsky, Moshe Bram, Paula Cohen, Rivka Friedman, Rutka Benes, Sarah Benes, Yahit Benes, Yankala Benes, Yitzchak Bram, Rose Tenenbaum, Truman Warren, Donald Johnson, Martin Ushko, Morris Karsman, Tilly Rifkin, Elaine Adler, Helen Reich, Julie Pikus, Sarah Hadesman, Sarah Kaufman, Claire McCord, Claire Finkelman, Helen Rich, Jack Weiss, Maurice Kleinman, Ralph Pfeffer, Steve Newland, Helen Bloom, Lena Bartner, Nathan Hopman. We are in the period of Shloshim for Dina Leah Rosenzweig, Ed Weisler, and Sidel Grant Goldfisher. And we are in the period of Shiva for Claire Ginger Ferrer. We also take note of the loss merely hours ago of the notorious RBG, of Yittel Rachel Bat Cyril Leah Zichron Alavracha. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg left us in the final hours of 5780. And her soul will now rest among the giants of Judaism, certainly among the greats of the greats, with Sarah and Deborah and Miriam, with Queen Esther and Doña Gracia Mendez and Golda Meir, a champion of justice, a legend of the Supreme Court, a pillar of fairness and equality, an American hero. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the greatest justices in the history of the Supreme Court. America and the world is a darker place without her. Alav HaShalom, may peace be upon her. V'tavo l'mekoma l'shalom, and may she come to her final resting place in peace. As we remember all those whose names we have said, all those whose names we hold in our own hearts, we ask mourners to rise, and those whose custom it is to rise, to stand now as we turn in our machzor to page 80, as we join together in the words of Kaddish Yatom, Yihu Zichronam Levracha, may their memories be an eternal blessing. V'yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, V'chaye chon uvyome chon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'amei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudusha brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata de'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Huya aseh hashalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. We can all be seated. Before we bring our service to a close, I just want to share a few important bits of information that you might need to know. The first one is that our services tomorrow morning for the first day of Rosh Hashanah begin at 9:30 a.m. So I hope you will all join us at 9:30 a.m. Second day Rosh Hashanah services will begin at 9:30 a.m. as well. Please join us both on Facebook Live and on YouTube for those services tomorrow and Sunday. And I want to remind you, because it is Shabbat, if you want to hear the shofar, you'll need to join us for the second day of Rosh Hashanah, as we do not blow shofar and we do not sing Avinu Malkeinu as well on Shabbat. So please join us on those. Please also join us on Sunday at Sonderman Park at 4 p.m. I know there's a little typo that some of you might have. It was not intentional, I promise. It was a little typo. But 4 p.m. on Sunday, not tomorrow, not Saturday, but on Sunday, 4 p.m. at Sonderman Park for Tashlich, and you can join us for that. Next week as well, in the middle of the week, I hope you will join all of us. You can make a reservation online to join us for your Ne'ilah experience. You'll be able to come into the synagogue. You'll be able to place your pre-written note into our kotel, and that note from your kotel will make its way eventually to Israel. If you want to accompany that note to Israel, you can join me. I'm leaving on June 8th, 2022 for the next Temple Shalom trip to Israel. Food, fun, and foundations. All sorts of great food things going on, exploring food throughout Israel. Fun, some great fun and exciting things in foundations, some of the history of Israel. It's set June 8th, 2022 is the date that we're leaving. Start saving now. Information coming out at the beginning of 2021 for your registration. But join us in the middle of the week, place your note in the kotel, and then just as we do on Ne'ilah, when we open up this ark that's right behind me here, you'll have your time to stand in front of the ark, your one-on-one time with the Torah in front of you. We want to thank so many people who have worked so diligently to make this service happen and all of our Holy Day services happen. So many people behind the scenes. We want to thank Elena Rathman, our executive director, and Deborah Sarna, our education director. We want to thank Larry Stoller, who has tirelessly worked on putting our honors together. We want to thank Chazan Berkovich for being with us as well. We want to thank Dan and Cass Waters, who have helped all of us put things together kind of in the background. We want to thank several of our board members who you can't see them out there in the world of Facebook and in the world of Facebook Live, but they're here in the background, several of our board members helping make everything coordinated along the way here. We Also want to thank Ellie Hart, who put together, a member of our board, who put together our beautiful video of and the music of our board members blessing our candles. And so we want to thank each and every one of them, and of course all the people. I know I haven't said all of the names, but over the course of the high holidays, we will definitely thank all of those people who have helped put all of these services together. I'm so grateful to all of you. The numbers have been fed into my ear, and I know that we have a lot of families who are watching us on Facebook, and a lot of families who are watching us on YouTube and joining together with us. And it's so beautiful for all of us to be here together. There are a very large number of our families gathered together here tonight, and we'll be gathering over the next few days. And so we want to thank you all for being here, wishing all of you a Shana Tova Umituka, a good and sweet year. We're going to bring our service this evening to a close with the words of Yigdal, which you will find in your Machzor on page 83, as I'm going to bring our Machzor back up on. And don't forget, as soon as we finish Yigdal, don't go anywhere, because we've got Kiddush and Motzi. We've got apples and honey. At least I think I've got apples and honey here over on my table. So don't go anywhere, because we're going to say a little Kiddush and Motzi at the end. But let's bring back up onto our screen. We're going to bring up the words of Yigdal. I'm going to just move in our screen a tiny bit here to page number 83. Here I am. These words of Yigdal. Please listen to the beauty of the music with Chazan Berkovich as we close our service with Yigdal and then a little Kiddush and Motzi.
יגדל אלוקים חי וישתבח, נמצא ונטל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, אין לו דמות כגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך עליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית ראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר. לא נערוך עליו קדושתו, מתיקאל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עליית שם תהילתו, מתים יהיה ברוב חסדו, ברוך עליית שם תהילתו.
And if you will turn in your Machzor back just a few pages to page 76, and if you have in front of you your Kiddush cup, please raise it as we join together in the Kiddush of Rosh Hashanah.
Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam, asher בחר בנו מכל עם, ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו, ותיתן לנו, אדוני אלוקינו, באחווה את יום השבת הזה, ויום הזיכרון הזה, יום זיכרון תרועה, באחווה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל חמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך שמו,
מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש השבת וישראל מיום הזיכרון.
אמן. לחיים.
Adonai, Elokeinu melech haolam, sheheyanu v'kimanu v'hidyanu lazman hazeh.
Amen. L'chaim, everyone. And now, if you have your round challah, I've got mine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Amen.
And to welcome in our sweet year, a little bit of tapuach, a little bit of dvash. There we go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'etz. Blessed are you, O God, ruler of the universe, who created the fruit of the tree, a little bit of apples and honey for a sweet year. Shana tova umituka. A good and sweet year to all of you. Please join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. as we continue to welcome in the year 5781. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.
What is that? Oh no, they dropped that. I don't know if they get enough people or what, they just never get it together, so they dropped it.